Politics ruins everything, and this is especially true of the administration of justice. Viva Frei, Montreal litigator turned YouTuber, and if you've been hanging around this channel long enough, you know that I often say that politics ruins everything. It ruins comedy, it ruins cartoons, it ruins movies, music, and when it comes to the administration of justice, it ruins it like curdled cream in coffee. If there is one exception to the rule of politics ruining everything, it is merch. Politics does not ruin everything when it comes to merch. In fact, you can check out your Politics Ruin Everything merch that I just designed yesterday right here. But in today's example of politics ruining everything, coming back to the administration of justice, we are talking about Mark and Patricia McCloskey, the Missouri couple who brandished firearms as a group of protesters marched through their private gated community. The Missouri Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner has indicted the couple on charges of unlawful use of a weapon, and if you happen to be the one person that has yet to see the video that went viral a few weeks ago, this is the video of the incident for which they're currently facing charges. And we're going to come back to the charges later on in this vlog, but just for now, let's read the charges that they are facing. Missouri Revised Statutes, Unlawful Use of Weapons, Exceptions, Penalties. A person commits the crime of unlawful use of weapons if he or she knowingly, and we will skip right to the relevant subparagraph 4, exhibits in the presence of one or more persons any weapon readily capable of lethal use in an angry or threatening manner. We are going to come back to two specific elements of this infraction, that being one, the readily capable of lethal use, and the other, in an angry or threatening manner. But for now, I just want to go over two articles to see how exactly this situation is being described in the media. KPBS News headlined this situation as follows: St. Louis prosecutor charges white couple with threatening protesters with guns. I am not sure what the racial identification in the headline adds, given that we could probably decipher that information from the attached photograph, but let's go on to see how they describe the situation. The white husband and wife who menaced Black Lives Matter protesters by brandishing guns as the demonstrators marched through the couple's wealthy St. Louis community are facing felony charges. Circuit Attorney Kimberly Gardner announced her office filed charges against Mark and Patricia McCloskey on Monday for unlawful use of a weapon. It is a Class E felony. Quote, "It is illegal to wave weapons in a threatening manner at those participating in nonviolent protests, and while we are fortunate this situation did not escalate into deadly force, this type of conduct is unacceptable in St. Louis," Gardner said in a statement. The Sun similarly reported, couple charged for wielding guns at Black Lives Matter protesters. A husband and wife in the United States have been charged for brandishing guns at peaceful Black Lives Matter protesters as they marched past their St. Louis home last month. Mark and Patricia McCloskey are accused of unlawful use of weapons after they drew guns at unarmed activists outside their $1 million Missouri mansion on June 28. The city's Circuit Attorney Kimberly Gardner said that the decision to issue charges was made following a, quote, thorough investigation, end quote, by the police department. Now, call me cynical, but it really seems to me that these articles are deliberately drafted in such a way so as to create and or exacerbate any cultural or racial divide that already exists in society, but maybe I'm just being cynical, parentheses closed. Let's see what Kim Gardner said in her statement announcing the charges being filed against the McCloskey's. And sorry about the blurred text, this was the best image I could find of the actual statement itself, although you can find it on Twitter. July 20, 2020, statement from St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kimberly M. Gardner on charges filed against Mark and Patricia McCloskey. Today, my office filed charges against Mark and Patricia McCloskey following an incident involving peaceful, unarmed protesters on June 28. It is illegal to wave weapons in a threatening manner at those participating in nonviolent protest, and while we are fortunate this situation did not escalate into deadly force, this type of conduct is unacceptable in St. Louis. The decision to issue charges was made after a thorough investigation with the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department. I am open to recommending that the McCloskeys participate in one of my office's diversion programs that are designed to reduce unnecessary involvement with the courts. I believe this would serve as a fair resolution to this matter. We must protect the right to peacefully protest, and any attempt to chill it through intimidation will not be tolerated. As I mentioned in my initial statement on June 29th about protecting the rights of protesters, this was not the only disturbing incident that occurred the same weekend. I issued charges against an individual who assaulted peaceful demonstrators at the King Louis IX statue on June 27th. I am open to recommending diversion in this case as well. The people of St. Louis have elected me to pursue equal justice under the law fairly and impartially, and that is what I intend to do. I don't know when Kim Gardner is up for re-election. I guess it will be at that point when the voters are going to decide if what she's doing is in fact equal protection under the law or if it is selective, borderline malicious prosecution. Only time will tell, but let's get into the law itself. Now, by all accounts, it does seem that there is going to be a constitutional challenge to the provision of law itself, because what is an angry or threatening manner? How does one determine in law if someone is exhibiting a weapon in an angry or threatening manner? Civil rights attorney Robert Barnes, with whom I also do weekly live streams which we convert into podcasts, all of those links are in the pinned one comment. He says that in order to appreciate the constitutionality or unconstitutionality of this provision, one has to apply sort of analogy between defamation law and the way this is drafted. If someone were to apply these terms in a statement against an individual, could that individual sue on the basis of defamation? If the answer is no, then this has to be unconstitutional in the criminal sense. And the reasoning is this: angry or threatening are subjective terms. They are matters of opinion, therefore they could not qualify as defamatory statements. Insofar as they are subjective and matters of opinion, they cannot serve as a basis for a criminal infraction as well. Angry and threatening to one person is not angry and threatening to another, and if a cop doesn't know how to apply angry or threatening as the statute is drafted, there is a problem in constitutional law. The other constitutional argument is that this would basically deprive the Second Amendment of any meaning. The Second Amendment is not only the right to bear arms, it is the right to bear arms for the purposes of self-defense. Another constitutional problem with this provision as drafted is that it seems to defy the well-established legal principle of the Castle Doctrine, which is the right to defend your home and property. It seems inevitable that the constitutionality of this provision is going to be challenged, but as the meme goes,
but wait, there's more. Hang on to your seat, baby, cause this one's a screamer.
Any weapon readily capable of lethal use.
Multiple news outlets, including
RT News,
are reporting that the pistol that was seized from Patricia McCloskey was in fact inoperable for use when it was seized from her. How then could Patricia McCloskey be indicted on charges of exhibiting a weapon readily capable of lethal use if the pistol seized from her was in fact inoperable when seized? Well, it seems that at some point in the investigation, that pistol that was inoperable when seized from Patricia McCloskey was disassembled and reassembled in order to be readily capable of lethal use. The gun Patricia McCloskey aimed at BLM protesters on a private street was inoperable when seized by police, but a St. Louis prosecutor reportedly had it fixed, deeming it ready for, quote, lethal use, end quote, before charging the couple. Patricia McCloskey and her husband Mark were charged on felony firearms offenses earlier this week after appearing in a controversial video in June pointing weapons at Black Lives Matter protesters who stormed their gated community. After the couple's weapons arrived in police custody, however, it was determined one of the guns, the pistol held by Patricia in the video, was inoperable, having been assembled improperly. Quote, the firearm could not be test fired as submitted, end quote, says a prosecution document obtained by local NBC affiliate, adding that the weapon, quote, was field stripped and found to have been assembled incorrectly, end quote. Despite the weapon's condition when it was seized by police, Assistant Circuit Attorney Chris Hinckley wrote that it was, quote, readily capable of lethal use, end quote, in charging documents filed on Monday, a claim directly at odds with the government's own account. Missouri law requires prosecutors to prove a weapon is readily usable for deadly force when pursuing the type of charges the McCloskeys now face. According to reports, the pistol was rendered inoperable because the McCloskeys used it in court as a prop, so in order to render it inoperable, they put the firing pin somewhere where it shouldn't have gone. I don't know how it works, but it was rendered inoperable specifically so they could use it as a prop in court during one of their firearm trials. And how did this inoperable pistol magically become operable? Well, apparently during the course of the investigation, they had the weapon disassembled, reassembled so that it could in fact be capable of lethal use. This is the information that is available as of shooting this vlog, and true, while it does not apply to the firearm that Mark McCloskey was holding, it would certainly be a bit of a problem for the prosecution if this is in fact true of the weapon Patricia was holding. And it would certainly add some substance to the argument of selective prosecution versus potentially malicious prosecution. Perhaps it is a question of my own bias, although I genuinely don't know what my bias would be in this situation, but you don't have to be a cynic to feel that politics are at play in this particular situation. Politics are so much at play, in fact, that PolitiFact did a fact-checking statement on this particular situation. Take it for what it's worth because it's PolitiFact, but this is what they wrote. PolitiFact, fact-checking claims about the St. Louis couple who pointed guns at protesters. If your time is short, Mark and Patricia McCloskey issued a statement indicating they support Black Lives Matter. Mark McCloskey has donated to Democratic and Republican candidates, but in recent years only Republicans,
including President Donald Trump.
Mark McCloskey represents a client who has filed a police brutality lawsuit. In criminal law, there is the principle of prosecutorial discretion. That is the discretion of the prosecutor, the sole discretion to choose which situations to prosecute and which situations not to prosecute. And the problem becomes when one feels that the decision-making of the prosecutor is itself politically motivated. Who is the prosecutor choosing to prosecute and with what vigor? Who is the prosecutor choosing not to prosecute? Who is the prosecutor letting out of jail while arresting and charging other people? And when people become thoroughly convinced that this entire decision-making process is itself politically motivated, the system will fall apart because politics ruins everything. This seems like a political battle between Kim Gardner and Mike Parson, the governor of Missouri, who apparently already said that he was going to pardon the couple if they were indicted. This entire situation seems politically motivated as it is being reported in mainstream media. But at the end of the day, there is the law, and you have to hope that politics doesn't ruin that too. I do not believe that this provision of Missouri law is going to be deemed constitutional. I think it is clearly unconstitutional. Unconstitutional constitutional because it is vague to the point of unenforceability, and unconstitutional because it clearly violates the Second Amendment. And if the reports we are reading about what was done to Patricia McCloskey's pistol are in fact true, I predict we are going to be seeing some claims for malicious prosecution as well. We will see where this goes. You know, if there are any developments, I will be doing a vlog on it. And with that said, if you like my videos and you like my content, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and drop a comment in the comment section below because it feeds the algorithm. If you want to support the channel, all of these support links are in the pinned comment. We've got Patreon, Subscribe Star, YouTube memberships, and merch. Politics ruins everything, the newest line of merch in the merch line stuff. But more important than that, take care of yourselves, take care of friends and family, make sure everyone around you is doing well, stay safe, stay sane, and now you know your vlog. Peace out. Booyah!